Hey everyone, Darwin's God here. How did the genetic code evolve? You know, there are so many big problems with that idea. It's hard to keep track of them all. I want to focus in on one of them in this video so it doesn't get lost. So I'm going to walk through this sequence quickly to show you how this works. So first, more than a half a century ago, the DNA double helix was discovered. Shortly after that, the genetic code was discovered. Now, shortly after that, it was found that it was essentially universal. All of the species essentially have the same code. Now, what this means is if all of the species have the same code today, as indicated by these yellow circles here, then it must have evolved from the last universal common ancestor of all life way back in the beginning, early stages of evolutionary history. So the genetic code was present in the last universal common ancestor, Luca. Next, if the genetic code was present in the last universal common ancestor way back early in evolutionary history, that means it didn't evolve for those billions of years. It was conserved for billions of years. That means that the code is not evolvable. The code must be frozen. As Francis Crick famously put it, it was a frozen accident. And if it's an accident, then it must be mundane. It's not a special code. As this leading textbook put it, the code seems to have been selected arbitrarily. It's just an arbitrary selection, an arbitrary code. But wait, later it was found that the code is special. It is 1 in a million, as this paper put it. And if it's 1 in a million, then the code must have evolved. If you look back here early in evolutionary history, the code must have been present in the last universal common ancestor, but it must have evolved. Selection must have played a role to get to that state, to get to a special sophisticated code. Okay, so that is the sequence I wanted to walk through. You may have noticed some interesting things going on there. Some of these boxes are from empirical science, others are from evolution. In other words, they're what evolutionists had to conclude given the empirical science. I'm going to use red to color code those. So these red boxes are the evolution boxes, what evolutionists had to conclude. And sometimes the red boxes contradict the blue boxes, such as in this case, evolutionists, as we saw, were forced to conclude that the code is an accident or was an accident, but yet it was found to be a special code, 1 in a million. There's a contradiction. And sometimes the contradictions are between red boxes. That is, they're internal contradictions within evolutionary thought. In this case, you have the evolutionists concluding that the genetic code is not evolvable, and then later having to conclude that it must be evolvable. It must have evolved. So there you go. This sequence reveals one problem of many with the idea that the genetic code evolved. If you get rid of the red boxes and have only the blue boxes, you get something a lot more logical. You've got a DNA double helix structure, you've got a genetic code, that genetic code is universal, and it's a special code. It's a very unique special code with special features. So this is another example of how the science contradicts the theory of evolution, even to the point where the theory is contradicting itself. You know, people don't believe in the theory of evolution because of the empirical science. They believe in it because of religion. I'll talk about that religion in later videos.